Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of EPLW. This is a preview show for Gameweek 22 here on YouTube, on my channel. And if you like what you're seeing, then drop a like on the video and subscribe to make sure you never miss another stream. With me is Roz. How you doing, Roz?
Yeah, not too bad, man.
Cool. And we're going to have a look through this next set of fixtures throughout the week. The Premier League's gone for a 4-5-1 formation this week. Four matches today, 5 tomorrow and 1 on Thursday. They're going one up top. It's Chelsea Spurs. So hopefully they should get a good performance out of their one striker, shouldn't they, Roz?
It'll be a really interesting game. It's
Yeah.
Mourinho's one of his many returns to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Tottenham lost to Brighton just now. Chelsea seems to be on the up with Tuchel. So it'll be a really interesting game, that.
Yeah, we're going to whiz through the other matches first, and then we'll have a bit more in-depth chat on that one coming up in the show. Okay, let's kick straight off then with Sheffield United versus West Brom. It's at 6 p.m. On Tuesday. It's at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United, Ollie McBurney could start, having come on as a sub in the defeat by Man City after his month out with a shoulder injury. Jack Robinson, Ben Osborne and Enda Stevens are being monitored. I always call him Edna. I just did really well there to call him Enda. West Brom could give a first start to loan signing Mbaye Diagne, who made his debut as halftime sub against Fulham at the weekend. Grady Diangana, who's not played for a month because of a hamstring injury, will be assessed ahead of the game. And that is before we talk about West Brom's loan signings. So I fully expect to see Maitland-Niles in there today, or later, sorry. Hopefully Snodgrass as well. What do you reckon on this one, Ross? What's your prediction and how do you see it going?
I'm going to predict the same thing that I predicted for Fulham West Brom last week, which didn't go my way. I thought that would be a really tight game settled by a set piece, and it was 2-2. I'm going to go for another tight game settled by a set piece. I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Brom win.
Okay, 1-0 West Brom win. And so you reckon that might be a set piece or a tight sort of...
I'm going to go for identical to what I said last week, which is Pereira to be the guy to watch. Okay. And it will be a penalty or a corner or a free kick or something like that.
Fair enough. Okay, lovely. Wolves Arsenal at the same time at Molineux. Wolves coach Nuno says his squad has no fresh injury problems ahead of the visits of Arsenal. Ait Nouri, Johnny Marcel and Raul Jimenez will sideline, while Roman Saith remains a doubt. Arsenal's Aubameyang could return, whilst Lacazette is expected to play despite Saturday's blow to the head from Harry Maguire's lovely defending. Saka and Tierney are major doubts because of respective hip and calf problems. Do we expect to see Martin Odegaard start this one, his first Arsenal start, please?
An interesting one. He's a really exciting signing. I was more surprised. I don't think I've ever seen a side trimmed down so much in one window. But I think there were 2 contract terminations with Socrates and Mustafi. And I was actually surprised to see Joe Willock and Maitland-Niles go out online. Maitland-Niles in particular, I think, is a very good player to have in your squad just based on his versatility. I think he's a really good player, but hopefully he can get some games under his belt at West Brom. Same for Joe Willock at Newcastle.
I feel like Maitland-Niles is maybe thinking he needs, if he's got any chance of getting on the plane for England, he needs to be playing regularly, and Big Sam can offer him that at West Brom. And do you know what? He's a very good player. He could do with a bit more physicality in my eyes, and I think playing in a Big Sam team, that might be expected of him a bit more. So could be good, I think, from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think obviously sort of Hector Bellerin sort of made that right back role his own. It's incredibly hard to get into that Arsenal midfield, particularly when you've got Thomas Partey there now. And I think the one position that it looked like, if there's an injury blow, Maitland-Niles can slot in there, would be left back. And we're now seeing Cedric Suarez take that role and doing brilliantly. And that was probably a factor, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. Wolves languishing in 14th in the table, 23 points from 21 games. Not as impressive as last season. Arsenal also not as impressive as last season at this point, 31 points from 21. But Arsenal on the up. And aside from Man City, are the form team in the league. What's your prediction for this one, Roz?
Wolves look a shadow of their former selves, don't they? We always say it. I think we say it every single episode since that horror injury to Raul Jimenez. They really haven't recovered. They're really missing him, and I'm gonna go for a comfortable 3-0 Arsenal win.
Nice. Who do you see being the key person in that in that win?
You'll like this. I'll say this just for you. I reckon Martin Odegaard is going to show us what he's about.
Remember, if you're watching this video, you can like the video, help us out, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. We often do live streams. Every Sunday night is the official EPLW show with where we have extra guests as well. So like and subscribe, and you can follow us on Twitter as well at EPLW Pod. Okay, 8:15 Tuesday night, venue Old Trafford, Man United against Southampton. McTominay, who was substituted against Arsenal on Saturday because of stomach cramps, should be fine to play. Hopefully he's got over his deli belly or whatever he's calling it. Eric Bailly may replace Victor Lindelof, lucky Man United fans, who struggles to play twice a week due to an ongoing back problem. Fair enough. Southampton are likely to be without Theo Walcott, Ibrahim Diallo and Oriol Romeu because of fresh injuries. Walker-Peters, Vestergaard, Salisu among the players who are already sidelined. So I make that 6 Southampton injuries. Maybe not all first team players, but certainly first team like squad, in and around that team. So is this going to be a walk in the park for Man United, or will their home form come back to haunt them?
That's the thing. I think the fact that it's at Old Trafford isn't necessarily something that Man United fans want to be hearing at the moment. Southampton have taken a huge dip, I think, lately. Losing 1-0 to Aston Villa, that result could have gone either way, but for such a top manager and such a top squad, they do really seem to be sort of hitting a stumbling block at the moment, probably due to those injuries. Saying that, Man United really, I don't think were very good at all against Arsenal. And they don't really have, the injury concerns that you were talking about just now, one of them being Amad Diallo, who's playing with the under-23s anyway. Like they've got a world-class 11 that they can put out there. But I have a sneaky feeling Southampton going to bounce back, wipe away the kind of sides that they should be wiping away, like Man United. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 Southampton win.
Ooh, interesting. It's funny, actually, just before we move on to the next game, you think back in Premier League sort of history, and I know some people don't like only talking about the Premier League era, but they want to talk about the whole top division. In the Premier League era, in my memory, Man United versus Southampton, Man United, it's always a tasty game.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of something going on, so well worth a watch, that one. So Roz is saying 1-0 Southampton. Who's going to get that goal then, Roz?
This is where I need to remember that long injury list that you just put out there. I'm going to go for Bednarek. Is he injured?
Oh, Bednarek.
I reckon it's going to be
as the sun shines on my face, let's hope the sun shines on Jan Bednarek. Okay.
Or in David De Gea's eye line. As he goes
David De Gea's eye line, yeah.
And
look at
Bednarek
just to save.
comes and smashes it in. Yeah.
Okay, this one should be a glamorous occasion. Newcastle United against Crystal Palace, Tuesday night, St James's Park, 8:15 kickoff. I can see by your reaction you're already looking forward to this one. Jamal Lascelles is expected to miss out. Ryan Fraser's ill. Paul Dummett's available again, and Alan Saint-Maximin could be in line for his first start since November. Roy Hodgson says several members of his squad face fitness tests after suffering injuries against Wolves. Tompkins and Schlupp are among the confirmed absentees. And new signing, Jean-Philippe Mateta, is again in contention as he waits for his Eagles debut. Roz, where do you see this one going?
It's another one of those where you just can't predict which side's going to turn up. I think they're both more than capable of losing 2 or 3-0. And they're both more than capable of winning 2 or 3-0, as we saw with that shock result with Newcastle against Everton in the last game week. Saying that, I think that was the exception to the rule. I think that they'll go back to being drab, boring Newcastle. That is, of course, if St. Maximin doesn't start. I think he's a really exciting player for them. And I think they have missed him, to be fair. But I'm going to, again, go with what I said last week, which was the man to watch is Eberechi Eze. And I'm going to go comfortable. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Palace win.
2-0 Palace. Wow. And that's after Newcastle went and won at Goodison last week. This is the beauty of this season's Premier League. It is so unpredictable that you're predicting the most unpredictable results, which are in a way predictable. Anyway, right, let's move on to Wednesday, 6 p.m. at Turf Moor. Manchester City visit Burnley. Now, if there was any kind of good test to see if Man City really were title candidates, given their recent run of form, surely this is the test. It's a cold, wet night in Burnley. Well, 6 p.m. and I don't think it's going to rain actually. But anyway, Burnley pair Chris Wood and Robbie Brady suffered hamstring and Achilles injuries at the weekend and will be assessed ahead of the game. Charlie Taylor, Josh Brownhill and Ashley Barnes all face fitness tests as well. Man City forward Sergio Aguero is back in training after his positive COVID test, but he remains a few weeks away. KDB, aka Kevin De Bruyne, and Nathan Ake remain among City's other absentees, although I don't really think that's going to affect City too much, is it, having a couple of injuries?
I don't think they'll miss any of them. They haven't missed Sergio Aguero for a long time, which is an incredible thing to say in itself. I said in the last show, I'm going to stick by it, that Riyad Mahrez would be the one to watch for me. You can never tell with Pep sides who's actually going to play. But I just have a feeling that with that Liverpool game coming up after this game week, that Riyad Mahrez will be one of those players that Pep might throw in and say, prove to me, that you deserve to start against Liverpool. Score me a hat-trick and then I'll still put you on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd be interesting. I think they'll wipe them away. I went for 6-0 last time and it was 1-0.
What, for City
so I think
United, wasn't it?
I'll be more reasonable. I'll go for a 5-0. 5-1.
5-1. I was going to say
Burnley, obviously.
Burnley don't get turned over that easily. I don't know. I'll remain sceptical on that one. I'm not making predictions today. You are. So I'm just ready to completely rip you on Thursday when we go through them all, and they're all completely different. Hopefully. If not, well done. Okay. At the same time as that game, Wednesday night, 6 p.m, is Fulham Leicester. Leicester will be looking to bounce back, and Fulham, 18th place. Surely they need to win this, especially after Brighton did Spurs the other day.
It's getting to that part of the season where, if they're going to make an escape, it needs to start happening around about now, I think. Leicester, I thought, looked really terrible against Leeds. I really wasn't. I thought their tactics were quite naive. They sort of played into Leeds' hands a little bit. That's not to take away from Leeds, who were terrific, but I was surprised how naive Brendan Rodgers was there. I don't think it was actually anything to do with the loss of Jamie Vardy, which is what we were kind of all expecting. If you see a Leicester side not performing, it's because they're missing out something up front. But up until then, you had James Maddison bang in form, Harvey Barnes bang in form. Two promising performances there for an England side for the upcoming Euros. I think Leicester will bounce back, as big sides often do. I think they'll have too much for Fulham on the day. Let's go for 3-1. 3-1 Leicester with Harvey Barnes to feature.
Okay, good stuff. And next up, we're going to talk about the team that Leicester lost to, Leeds. They host Everton at 7:30 on Wednesday evening. And they go into this Leeds 3 wins out of the last 5. Everton only 2 wins out of the last 5. You wouldn't have thought the form was that way round, really, judging on this season. Leeds without Robin Koch, Gaetano Berardi and Adam Forshaw. Rodrigo and Bamford, doubtful. And Everton, still without Allen, Delph and Kunku. And also Jordan Pickford reported to be unavailable. Where do you see this one going?
You say Jordan Pickford might be injured?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going for Everton then. So sorry.
Wow.
No, it's was this the one that was 5-2 earlier in the season? I'm sure this was one of the 5-2s. Certainly Everton involved in one of them.
Everton, sorry. No, this return fixture was Leeds beat Everton at Goodison 1-0. Rafinha.
Okay. But I'm still gonna go for a big scoreline here. This really could be anything, couldn't it? Everyone was sort of picking up Everton at the start of the season. Calvert-Lewin, Ancelotti, sort of men at the moment, started to dip slightly. And then all of a sudden they put out that performance against Newcastle, which is as bad as I've seen them under Ancelotti, actually.
Perhaps a bit of complacency there in that game. I'm fancying Leeds for this one. I know, look, and I'm not just saying it to wind you up, but I just fancy Leeds. They did them at Goodison. They'll be looking to do the double. They've got them at home. Obviously, I don't know. I just think Everton won't cope. If they can't cope with Callum Wilson and co, no offence to Callum Wilson, much respect to Newcastle's front line. But if they can't cope with that and they conceding 2 goals against Newcastle, then how are they going to cope with the likes of Leeds coming forward at them? I mean, Leeds were outstanding against Leicester. Let's not beat around the bush. And Leicester and Everton, is Everton's defence going to stack up to what Leicester's was? How do you see it going?
I think everything you said is pretty accurate. I think that who was it that Everton had in the FA Cup? It was a lower league side. It was wasn't Cheltenham. Was it Cheltenham?
No, that was Man City had Cheltenham. Everton played Sheffield Wednesday. They were at
Sheffield Wednesday. That's it. So a championship side, a side sort of at the bottom of the championship there. And actually, why I was so surprised at the Newcastle result was they focused on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who actually played in that game, and he was making similar runs to the ones that he would in a top Premier League game. That the energy was still there for a cup fixture against Sheffield Wednesday. So I think, Calvert-Lewin was on top form against championship level defenders, is where I'm going with that. So I fully expect him to bag 2 or 3. Having said that, Everton aren't, like you're saying, doing brilliantly. I think this will be a 4-3 Everton.
Oh, make sure you watch that one. 4-3 Everton, DCL what?
It's all I'm going to jinx it, but there are going to be goals, aren't there?
There are.
You've got 2 sides that sort of, their defence isn't great. Certainly Everton's isn't at the moment. And they can both attack. They've got some really exciting players.
Brilliant. Slightly later on Wednesday evening then, if you're watching that one, you can probably catch the second half of this one. Aston Villa, West Ham at Villa Park. Battle of the Claret and Blues. Villa are 9th in the table on 32 points. West Ham fans, listen to this. West Ham are 5th on 35 points. Villa 2 games in hand though. So if Villa win this game in hand, they're level with West Ham. Dean Smith could name an unchanged lineup for the 3rd successive game. Morgan Sanson awaits his debut though. Courtney Howes has been ruled out for at least another 4 weeks with his foot injury. Jesse Lingard poised to make his first Premier League appearance of the season on loan from Manchester United for West Ham. Moyes has no fresh injury concerns, only Arthur Masuaku still ruled out. How does Lingard fit into this fixture then?
It's a really interesting signing. I remember watching, when you kind of get a relapse football, if it's not like a tournament year and the Premier League finishes and then you have to wait until August for it to start again. Yeah. I often find myself
watching Jesse Lingard highlight reels.
Yes, that's I try to emulate them. Many of the celebrations, actually. I often try and find a pre-season game where it might be in Saudi Arabia, in America, something like that. And I remember, weirdly, watching a game in 2000, and it would have been 2013 pre-season, and it was David Moyes taking charge of Man United.
Okay.
And I remember Jesse Lingard got a lot of game time. And I remember David Moyes just shouting his name constantly, really being encouraging. You could tell there was sort of a relationship with the player there. And he got a lot of game time under Moyes going forward. Obviously didn't work out for them there. Where does he fit in? It's really interesting. I saw a stat on Declan Rice where he, I think, has played a full 90 minutes, 58 games in a row, which is pretty astounding.
Wow.
You can't drop Souček. You wouldn't really want to change the shape there with your sort of Cresswell on the left, Soufal on the right. They've got a really good thing going. I don't think Lingard naturally fits into a wing-back position. I don't think he naturally fits into any of those spaces. So, I don't know. You'd certainly have to change formation. I can see him being more of a sort of 60, 70 minutes when you need to get a goal, chuck on an extra cam, see what you can produce.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Said Benrahma as well. It's kind of in and around that role. And
yeah,
I guess Lingard is a wide man or a 10, or a cam. But they've got a wealth of talent in that area. Really, West Ham could have been buying a striker or loaning in a striker. They've got Pablo Fornals, Jared Bowen, yet Said Benrahma, already. Now
they've got Lanzini as well, Lanzini and Yarmolenko.
You're
right.
Talent in attacking midfield.
And none of them are playing, really. But, Bowen gets his games, Benrahma gets his games. Yarmolenko spends most of his time looking grumpy on the bench. I was a star. I was a star in Ukraine.
I thought you said you weren't going to do any impressions today.
That was my Beano Ukrainian.
Nice. Love it.
No, hang
on. From West. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I've wasted a lot of time there. So from one talented group of midfielders to another, Aston Villa's midfield is pretty tasty, and people are making noises about Jack Grealish being the player of the season so far. I think the stats are favourable towards him. He's up there in the scoring charts. What do you make of Villa's midfield, and what are their chances this season?
I think there's been a lot of comparisons this year to for various reasons, but to the year when Leicester City won the Premier League, and a lot of people have been looking at. They've been comparing Leicester's side now to Leicester's side then. They've been comparing Southampton's first 11 to Leicester's side then. They're comparing Aston Villa's starting 11 now to Leicester's back then. I think it's got something to do with the fact that it's probably going to be a much lower points tally, and none of the big sides seem to want to win it, which was a recurring theme of that season when Leicester remarkably finished top.
Taking nothing away from Leicester there as well.
No, of course not. No, not at all. But I would say that Jack Grealish would comfortably get into that Leicester side, but he'd also comfortably get into, I'd say, any title-winning side of the last 10 years, really. I like his work rate. He's not just a sort of tricksy player. He likes to have his sort of as low as Totti. He's got a bit of that about him. He's sort of he likes to show the opposition like his shin pads, just to kind of kick me. If you want to kick me, fine, I'll still dribble past you. So there's a bit of arrogance there. There's a bit of work rate. There's a lot of leadership, and more than anything, there's a hell of a lot of quality. Who else have they got? They've got Trezeguet, who seems to be getting lots of important goals at the minute.
Ross Barkley, Douglas Luiz. Where do you see this game going? It's going to be. I feel like it'll be won and lost in the midfield, surely.
You think so, wouldn't you? It's those kind of physical battles. I think both teams will be keen to avoid a sort of basketball match where it's sort of going from one end to the other. Again, this could go either way. Easily, it could be 1-0 to either side. I'm going to go for Villa. And I'm going to go for our man, Jack Grealish.
1-0 Villa, Grealish to score. You heard it here first. Go and put your life on it. Okay. Liverpool, Brighton, 8:15 tomorrow night, Wednesday night, at Anfield. Brighton, who just did Spurs. I can't think of a better way to put it. Sorry. Maybe it's because I'm an Arsenal fan. Liverpool look back on fire. Sadio Mane had a minor muscle problem out of the win over West Ham. He could be back. James Milner's hamstring will be monitored. And Liverpool revealed Joel Matip is out for the whole season, along with Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk. What on earth is going on with Liverpool's defence? They signed yesterday on deadline day Ben Davies and Ozan Kabak. Do you expect them both to start for Liverpool?
No, I expect one of them to start, and I think that will be Ben Davies. He's been playing a lot for Preston in the Championship. I think the other one was done quite late. He came from Schalke, and sometimes the permit for them to play, and just actually being sort of, if you had a long flight and just training with the team for the first time, coming to a new country, I think it'll be a bit too soon for him.
Yeah.
So I expect Jordan Henderson and Ben Davies to start at centre half.
Interesting. Not too far to move for Ben Davies as well. And interestingly, I mean, there was talk because obviously Kabak went to Liverpool from Schalke, and Schalke brought in Mustafi as a replacement from Arsenal. Arsenal inadvertently helping Liverpool there. I mean, I know you might argue that Liverpool and Arsenal aren't actually rivals for the top four or whatever, but was that Arsenal helping Liverpool out, or was it just sensible business all round for everyone?
I can't see. It's funny with Kabak, he's so highly rated, particularly on video games. I don't know if you've noticed this, Joe, but on Pro Evolution Soccer,
yeah,
if you play a season mode for about 4 or 5 years, and then you search for the best centre half in the world, it's Kabak.
Oh, right.
Which is remarkable. I think he's got ridiculous growth of something like 79 to 94. So, you know, if video games are anything to go by, they've got themselves a real talent there. I mean, in terms of Arsenal helping Liverpool out, I don't think they're really title contenders. Sorry, mate. So I don't think it will. It's probably not in their thinking.
I can't believe you just said that. Right. Okay. Brighton's Joel Veltman came off during the weekend, went over Tottenham with muscle tightness and is a doubt. Alexis McAllister, who played all of that game, will be assessed after complaining of a glute issue. The Seagulls are already without several players, including the fantastic Tariq Lamptey, Danny Welbeck, who have thigh and knee injuries, respectively. Quick one, finish up. What's your prediction? Liverpool-Brighton.
I think Liverpool will comfortably win this one, despite Brighton's unexpected result, should we say, against Spurs. It's they've got an incredibly exciting youth academy, Brighton. Tariq Lamptey, of course, came from Chelsea and left there to get more game time. Seriously exciting player. Really love to watch him. They've got Ben White, who Leeds famously bid, was it 25 million for? 30 million. They sort of just put all their money forward. Yeah, it has to be Ben White because we had him on loan in that season. Very highly rated, likes to play with the centre half, has been playing in midfield in recent weeks, likes to take it forward, very good with his feet. A player they've just sent out on loan to Preston is Jason Mulumby, who was on loan at Millwall last season and looks like a very exciting player. And lastly, Aaron Connolly, who I like the look of as well. So something's going very right in Brighton's youth academy. And I have a feeling if they stick with Graham Potter and they manage to stay up this season, and he really gets his philosophy kind of driven into the club, we could expect big things from Brighton that season. I'm talking top half table.
Absolutely. Graham Potter, I mean, we saw what he did with Ottersons a few seasons back, and when Arsenal met them in the Europa League, I remember seeing that, and he had a great system going with the youth players and bringing them through. So, all power to Brighton. But you're calling a Liverpool win on this one.
Comfortable. I'm gonna go for 3-0.
3-0. Okay, which brings us to Thursday night, which is Tottenham Chelsea, 8:00 kickoff. We're going to be doing an episode of EPLW with Roz, Matt, and Mus just before that one. So make sure you tune in on Thursday to the channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button. Make sure you are notified about this, because our pre-match build-up is going to be so much better. We're going to look back at all the games that have happened Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I'm gonna rib Roz about his poor predictions, and Mus is going to make some sort of stupid crack about something funny. It'll be hilarious, trust me. And we can tease Matt about Chelsea before they take on Spurs. Anyway, on to the game itself. Roz, I'm just going to throw it open to you. No specific questions. Spurs, Chelsea.
Yeah, Mourinho going back to his own hunting ground. Well, taking on is it at Spurs?
Yeah, it's at the Tottenham
Spurs. Okay.
Stadium. Yeah,
so Mourinho welcoming back his prodigal son Frank Lampard. No, sorry, it's not Frank Lampard anymore, is it?
Oh wow, you need to stop digging Frank out, man.
I think when someone's that entitled and privileged,
you're proper twisting the knife.
It stops being a duty to rip them. It becomes just a pleasure and a pastime. No, I think with this one, let's make no qualms about it. Tottenham were poor against Brighton. They clearly missed Harry Kane. No one seemed to, all the players that had kind of been performing in recent weeks, which for me had nothing to do with Harry Kane. The fact that Ndombele's sudden rise of form doesn't really, you don't need a top number 9 for your performance to dip there. But very, very disappointing for Spurs there. Chelsea, I know it's only been 2 games. I know they didn't score in the first one. And I know it was only Burnley in the second. But I watched both games in full. And Chelsea just look masterful. They're really kind of throttling sides. They're suffocating with the ball. We're seeing very high possession from them. We're actually seeing a very high shots turn out in the last game of 19 shots to Burnley's 1. And that was the one criticism maybe you could give Thomas Tuchel, having only been in the country for a few hours, that they didn't, they had all the ball against Wolves, but they didn't actually do anything with it. And instantly, next game, times his shots by 4. So it'd be interesting to see if he sticks with the wing backs. I was thinking, Marcus Alonso did incredibly well considering how long he's been out for. But how exciting will it be when Thomas Tuchel really gets his kind of formation and his philosophy into that side? How exciting will it be when Ben Chilwell's back and when Reece James comes to form again? He had a bit of a dip, but he's got very exciting squad there.
Yeah, absolutely. This was something I was going to ask actually on Sunday's EPLW about the wing backs, but we didn't have time. So let's just go into it a bit more. So Alonso and Azpilicueta, both experienced, quite, been around the block in terms of playing as a fullback, as a wing back. Reece James and Ben Chilwell, are they? Chilwell maybe is accustomed to playing at wing back. But Reece James, is it a bit too much of a conversion right now? Does he need to take time to convert him to be that wing back that runs in behind the strikers and stuff? Or is he, this sounds ridiculous saying this about Reece James, but is he too defensive at the moment for Tuchel?
It's an interesting it's an interesting point. I think with Reece James, he's points in his career actually played defensive midfield. The kid was sent on loan to Wigan and was made captain in the
Really?
championship.
I didn't
of
know that. I didn't know
and and every time they, that time that I watched Wigan, maybe happens once a season. He did look fantastic. The leadership qualities, but also the adaptability. The fact that I think any captain who's a right back has to be a very special player, because they to influence a game. That's what's so incredible about Alexander-Arnold, is the amount of influence that when he's on his top form, he can have on a game from probably one of the positions you don't expect that from. But he's adaptable. He's young. He wants to get better, and he's got great leadership qualities and not much of an ego. So I think he can convert fairly comfortably. He's also got a wicked shot on him.
Yes.
For a right back, he can really hit them sweetly.
He is a real, he's a sort of wing back finisher. Tuchel should be licking his lips at the prospect of that then, shouldn't he? And I mean, do you see, how do you see this go? Personally, I reckon Mourinho is going to park the bus because he doesn't want to lose to Chelsea. He's going to soak up loads of pressure and try and catch on the break without Kane, interesting in itself. I can see Chelsea having about 80% of the ball here, 20 or so shots, 5 or 6 on target. Will they get one though? And my prediction is 0-0 or 1-0 Chelsea. I can't go look beyond that. What are you saying?
Should we go half a goal nil, half goal Chelsea? I think Spurs will fall. I've got to say, Mourinho's been kind of doing that. He played through it back against Brighton, right? With Joe Roden and can't think of the other two. I think Toby Alderweireld and
Dyer would it have been?
Yeah, probably. Dyer might have been Ben Davis. Not sure. But anyway, he's been playing fairly negative formations going into this one, and it hasn't actually been working that well. He lost 1-0 to Brighton. So with that in mind, I also don't think that I think Chelsea should have too much even for that. I was picking up Joe Roden, having watched him in the Championship for a while.
Yeah.
In one of the last shows, and then he did the exact thing that I said. We didn't do the exact thing that I said he was good at, which is clearing a ball. And the ball came in from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he just sort of his starting position was off. It's meant to be his bread and butter. Get it away. And he didn't get it away, and Liverpool scored. So I'm going to go back on what I said. He's not ready for the Premier League. He's a terrible player. He's hurt my pride.
You're going back on your word.
Chelsea will exploit him and punish him for making me look stupid.
Chelsea are going to exploit him just to ridicule Roz. Okay.
Me. It's all about me. Yeah. I told you, me and Abramovich, mate.
I love it.
I gave him a call and said, listen, I don't think this Frank guy's working out. And he said, Rosa. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
This is it. You said you weren't
just trying to be Russian, and then it suddenly turned Italian.
You told me today we weren't doing any impressions, and so far you've done Yarmolenko, the Ukrainian, and you've done, and now you're doing Roman
Marlon Brando. Abramovich Brando.
Have you got a death wish or something? Doing impressions of Abramovich?
Actually,
it's going to take you out for a little ride on his
Russians. Total side point, nothing to do with football, but my friend posted a picture of what is apparently Vladimir Putin's house. Go to all our viewers, go and check it out. If you didn't think he looked like a Bond villain before, this is like a proper Bond villain house. It's sort of in Sochi. It's sort of on the mountain range. It's all white. It just looks like he's got lasers and shit in there. Anyway, sorry, just sort of corrupt Russian. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was my. Anyway, I think Chelsea comfortable. Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-0 with, again, my man, Christian Pulisic to out-soccer them.
He's going to out-soccer them. He's going to stick one in the upper 90.
He is. He's going to go, touchdown!
Yeah, Super Bowl this Sunday. I'm going to be watching that. Anyway, enough of that. There is your EPL preview for Game Week 22. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Remember, like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you never miss a stream. And on Thursday, you can join us from 7:30 where we will ridicule Roz for his poor predictions today.
One of my predictions, by the way, was that Arsenal would win. So I don't know why you're hoping for that.
I'm not hoping for that one. Everything but that. Thank you for helping me clear that one up. We will see you next time. It's goodbye from Roz.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.